Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Swan Pricing Show, where we talk about the different rules that apply to pricing when it comes to non-commoditized professional services. My name is Filip Fucic. I'm a pricing mentor, and this is my co-host and person with the same first name.
I am Filip Zolota, the owner of growth marketing agency Mauio.
Hi. So today we promised to talk about something that I like to call Smurfing. Smurfing is not originally a business term. It's a gamer's term for somebody who is capable of playing in a higher league, but intentionally makes a new account and goes to play with the Smurfs, with low-level people. For various reasons, but we were talking about confidence and confidence levels and clients choosing you over other people because you seem to be on a confidence level that they think you need, anybody needs to solve a problem that they're having, right? A serious problem. And while we were talking about this, we touched upon doing things which lower the perceived level of confidence that you are on, right? So to illustrate this, hypothetical example, you go to a specialist for a specialist doctor. Let's say somebody who deals with inflammations of inner organs or digestive system or something. So you get to there, you get a reservation, you go to a waiting room, and while you are in the waiting room, one of the patients who are also waiting is sick and he vomits all over the floor, and somebody alerts the people there, and you can see a person come out and clean it, and okay, that's perfectly fine, it's professional. And then you get into the doctor's office and you realize it was the doctor who came out to clean the sick, right? Now, you wouldn't immediately run away screaming, but something's off, right? Why is this person doing that kind of a job? I mean, anybody, any able-bodied person is capable of cleaning that mess, but why are they doing it themselves? Right? It's off. It's not something that they should be doing if they're actually at the level of confidence you thought they were on, right? So do you have an example of such a behavior from your experience?
Yeah, that is definitely a good point. And I have one interesting example in the agency world. What I saw in, I can say even numerous occasions. For example, you have some brief with the client, and there you have a senior consultants, even executive roles, who are doing minutes of the meeting instead of project manager who manages project or anybody else with adequate delegation to do something like that. So that
proactively, right?
Yeah, that is definitely a confidence level killer by default, and simply wrong, because consultant in that specific role is to help and support, and the project manager who is handling everything else should be doing it. The problem is in quite a big number of agencies and businesses, you don't have a clear standard operating procedures for that respectable realm, but it is not mandatory, but definitely good to have, so every person knows the scope of the activities, how to handle, manage, and act in the meetings, in the briefs, and everything else. So that is one cool example for that specific situation.
Yeah. I mean, because we all want a project to succeed. We all want clients to be happy. That's not the issue, right? But just because you can do many things for the client, technically, right, doesn't mean that you should offer all of them. You can, to some things you would do them if the client specifically asks you to do it, but if they ask you to do it, that's a different thing psychologically than if you volunteered to do it. There's a difference there. So okay, sure, I can do that for you, right? But then it's not something that's implied, and it's something that you are doing to make the client happy, right? And in some cases, you actually want to say, no, that's not a good that's not a good way to spend my time or your money, right? Because I had a case with a client who was a lawyer, whose client wanted him to be in the loop so that he can weigh in on some potential problems, and that's okay. But he wanted him to do that by being in all of the email chains. So that was like 400 back and forth emails over a course of a week that the lawyer was supposed to read through without being compensated for that, because that's not work, right? That's just seeing if there's some work for him. And that's not it, right? So firstly, that is work. That what is that a hobby of his, reading random emails? No. So that would represent work, and that wouldn't be efficient for anybody, right? So not good. Not so. It's much better if somebody else, probably within the organization, keeps track of conversations and flags some issues. Maybe gets coached by the lawyer on how to find flaggable issues, and then flag some issues, then and prepares a report or something for the lawyer, so that they can spend half an hour a week reading through the report and saying, well, we should probably talk about this, or I should probably look more closely into that. But by default, the thing is, it started small. It was one email chain, right? But first, over the years, people kept piling in, so there was more back and forth and more emails in that email chain. And there was a second email chain, which is logical because you're doing the first one, so you might as well do the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And it merged into this monstrosity of an unpaid work that my client felt obligated to do, but which wasn't paid, right? Because it's not work, quotation marks, right? So they worked it out when the lawyer said, listen, this is not good use of my time or your money. The client got it. They said, yeah, okay, well, we didn't really think that through, and it grew out of proportion. So no bad feelings, right? But in general, it was a bad practice, right? And this is I see sometimes people saying, you hire somebody to consult who can consult you on some UX UI issue, and they say, well, listen, I'll just design this for you because it's easier that way. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's you doing the grunt work, and you would actually, that can reduce the way in which the client sees you, the level of confidence, right? It's cleaning the sick. So I don't think that's an ideal thing for you to do. And even if you do get asked and say yes, it depends on how the client asks you, right?
And there is a second kind of option that is not necessarily the asking from the client side, but sometimes some people have a tendency to help and support naturally, but also they need to have a proper compass when to do it and how to do it, so they do not impact their level of confidence or perceived confidence in the eyes of the client. That is very important. And the second thing is addressing the issue and red flagging it accordingly in a timely manner, because on the example you mentioned, that was active for quite some time. The point is, when you have a red flag, address it immediately, so you can that way manage your time properly, optimize all the resources, and do the right stuff. Everything else is simply wrong and has a tendency to pile up through the time. So you are just piling additional work, which are definitely out of the scope.
Yes, and we should probably talk about scope creep next time.
Yeah.
There's also a specific case where you can confidently do your core, what they call a zone of genius now, right? And you have a client that was really lost on this, and they relied on you on this, and you done stellar work. And then they ask you, hey, could you also do this for me? It could be another project, so it's not necessarily out of scope. So yeah, it's out of scope for this project, but they're happy to pay you for another project. But you know, you are brilliant in this, so could you do this? Now, some things you can absolutely say, yeah, I don't really advertise this, but I have a lot of experience in this, and I could definitely do that for you. Other things, though, you know the theory of, but you've never tried it, or you heard about it, you read about it, you tried it once and didn't really work, right? A friend, a colleague of yours told you about that in detail. Those are all, we're nearing the thin ice here, right? So maybe you could do it, maybe you can't. You're probably going to try to charge as much as normal. And this is where I would actually, when a client asks you something like this, it becomes a balancing act, I think. A balancing act between your baseline integrity and your current level of desperation. Right? We talked about that before. So I think here transparency is best. You can say, listen, I've done these things that you've seen me do. I've done that 50 times, 100 times. This I've done like 3 times. I can do that for you, but this, we're not talking in the same league here, right? It's embarrassing maybe to say something like that, but it's better than not saying it, and it's ethically correct to say it, and it's ethically
right way. Exactly.
And it's ethically correct to reduce your price for this completely. Maybe in exchange for reference or this or that, or them not mentioning it. I'm not kidding. It's an anti-reference. So yeah, so we have a good relationship, and I know you're not going to think less of me if I also do that. But I don't want the word going around that I just take any work and would do anything or reduce my price. So I will do this for you because I know your case, and I'm confident we can do. I'll reduce my price because it's not my zone of confidence. But I don't want you mentioning this, right? When you give me a testimonial, when you talk to people about my work, talk about my core work and my core prices. This is off the books, right? Not officially off the books. You know what I mean, right? So sometimes if you have a good relationship with the client, you can smurf a little if they care a lot. right? But if there is an entitled client that says, of course you're going to do this for me, I'm a client, I'm always right, or it's but I've expected this, or it's not done until the last detail is done, and I just thought up more things that are wrong, that were not never in the scope, but are implied in the client's mind or something like that. You can always say, no, I don't do that. It's not my job, right? Have somebody internally do that, or don't. I don't care. I've provided what we talked about. That's here. You paid me. That's it, right? I don't know. Do you think that can sound arrogant?
Yeah, no, it's not arrogance. It's being clear in terms of service delivery, and also very important parameter in the conversation is managing the expectations, as you mentioned on the previous example. So it is being clear, transparent, open, and that is the foundation for any relationship. And you need to say openly what you can do, what you cannot do, and even why you don't want to do something. You're not experienced enough, or that is not in your scope. Especially very often clients have a tendency to go out of the scope of the activities, especially when you have some project price recurring events and arrangement being defined on a 12-month contract and similar stuff. They have a tendency sometimes to ask even more, because they have the perception that in that respectable realm, in that respectable month, you haven't been serving them entirely. But that is only a subjective element, because at the end of line, clients actually don't know what you were doing for them. That is the reason why they took you and paying you for do the professional service delivery for them and help their
Yeah,
business.
I've seen that with like some parts of the invisible work, like web pages, right? With retainers, that's a problem. Retainers are very vulnerable to this. Many industries, service industries, have retainers or recurring payments of some kinds. And then people say, last month my web page looked like this. Now it looks like this. 3 months ago, it looked exactly like this. And I keep getting the bills, right? And you say you spent like 2 hours, 3 hours on what, right? And then they don't know there's a lot going on in the background that you have to tweak and update, and be very careful on what you click and don't click, what you update and don't update, and in what specific a specific process for that. And they only see the surface level, and they say, well, you haven't done anything for me, right? And then they start, well, could you just this, could you just that, could you change this to purple, so at least I have a feeling that you're doing something for me, right? And yeah, so if a client doesn't have a feeling that you're doing something for them, for the retainer, that's a problem. If they can't conjure up the idea of what we're doing this week, this week, month, whatever. And you should probably, as an expert, work on them understanding what you did for them, or that the nature of your relationship is you're not going to do something for them every month, but when you do, it's going to be worth like half a year, because then it's going to be concentrated, and it's very hard to predict when that's going to happen, right? So if I provide mentorship for negotiations, clients may not have a serious negotiation for a couple of months, but when they do, we work as needed, right before the negotiations, and then the result of those negotiations carry like the next 18 months, but we never know when that's going to happen. and it's we are both better served if they pay a fixed fee per month than an intensive feedback. Then because I can plan them in and this and that, and we there's a lot of work in the preparation for these negotiations and this and that. So they have to be able to understand the nature of the relationship and to get away with to get away from so how many hours have you worked for me this month, and what have you done? Why does it take 4 hours to update my website, right? Well, if I made you understand that, you would have to go through everything that I know about that, right?
Exactly.
So it's about trust, about not losing trust. But one way that you can lose trust is you can smurf.
Yeah.
It's people do it because coming from the right place, they want to please the client, they want to client not to worry, they want to show that they're proactive, and sometimes that ends up actually ruining the relationship because the confidence level or the trust level starts to drop because they see you offer to do stuff which is way below your level, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Cool. Let me see. It's about, sometimes it's about, smurfing is about saying no as well. So some freelancers think that they can never push back. If a client says, I need a new purple button, they say, you know, what color of purple, right? And I mean, that's the automaton way. I've spoken to a client who's a developer who says, I bring extra value by saying no. Because if you say to a less talented or simply more servile kind of a developer, I need this to say abracadabra, right? Then they only ask, okay, so what font? And this one will push back and say, why? Why do you need to say that? Why don't you need something shorter or something more recognizable or less recognizable so it's more Googleable, or this or that, or right? And they can he can develop this idea into what it was supposed to be in the first place. And sometimes that means dropping it, dropping the idea. The idea was bad and not worth paying for. And you can say he just, you know, talked himself out of a job, but that's not true. It's like when you go to the butcher's shop and you ask for a particular cut, and he says, yeah, leave it, not today,
Yeah.
right? Next time that he says, you know, this cut would be excellent for you, you're going to believe him more than if he just sells you whatever you point at.
Yeah.
Because he went against his you know, short-term interests to guard your long-term interests, and you're going to have more trust and more confidence in that person's opinions in the future. So that this developer says, I'd rather say no to 5 bad projects and then get one good one, which will actually get a lot of revenue for the client, and he will definitely be back again with bad ideas first, and then but he will not dream about getting somebody cheaper who will develop 6 out of 6 ideas, 5 of which will lose him money, right? Makes sense.
And big add-on to that is saying no is definitely a good path to follow towards the trustworthy relationship. Because people who are looking for true professionals, they don't need yes. They need no, why no, optimize the cycle, optimize the process, and do something smarter. And that is the point. That way you are building a long-term partnership in business and building a proper trust, especially as you mentioned, you are putting the client in a proper position, meaning that you will be going even against your short-term interest. But the primary interest is to deliver top-notch solution and help other side. And that is the proper foundation for doing business professionally.
Yeah. And just to top it off, the expressions we use can also make a difference.
Yeah.
So if you take a passive stance or you take the employee stance on talking to clients, right? So if you say, hi, I just wanted to check in about X. That's, why are you talking like that, right? You are not working for a client, you're working with a client. It's a big difference. So you should be saying something like hi, when can I expect an update on whatever it is, right? So you wouldn't say I think maybe you should say it would be best if we tried this, right? It's hard to prescribe these things, but you know, if it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck, right, it's probably a duck. So if somebody is talking like they're an employee and they're acting like an employee, I'm going to be nudged into treating them like an employee, and they're not. They know something I don't, and I need them, right? And I need to be confident that they can take this on by themselves and just solve a problem for me, right? And all of these hints toward lower position, that's smurfing. That's unnecessary unnecessary characterization of your work as less valuable than it actually is, and it costs money. Yeah. It literally costs people money, but to act like that, right?
And relationships.
and relationships. So I always like to say I've done all of the mistakes. So all of the mistakes that we talked about, yeah. So I had a number of retainers die off because of many of the mistakes that we talked about today.
Yeah.
So you start off strong and they're really happy with everything, and then you say yes to too many things, where you don't say no to enough things, and you do this, that, and the other because you don't want to lose the retainer, and you do lose the retainer, and you do lose the relationship. It would be much better if I lost a retainer 6 months before, but retained the relationship. They would have rehired me to do another major project, and I would have had more money from that client in the same year in total than I had like this, and I don't have the relationship anymore. And I'm sorry about it. And this is why I like to talk about smurfing, or against it, right? Stand against it. So I'm not sure if this is a big difference toward duck pricing, but I think it is.
It is directly connected, because it's a matter of the approach, how you present yourself, your expertise, how you communicate, and all of it. Things are simply connected, and there is a big impact on entire scope of the activities, how you serve your clients, customers, and direct impact on the relationship and everything. So it is.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it matters less. This is a core thing. It matters less who does your duck work, right?
Yeah.
It matters less who cleans your office. If they're professional, if they're minimally professional, things will be clean and that's it, right? It's or who moves your stuff. If they don't break stuff and don't fart too much, it's okay, right? And it really matters who is your gastrointestinal doctor, right? And if this one, you know, has to be the cleaning lady as well, maybe you should find another one, right? So yeah, it is a big difference.
Yeah.
From duck pricing to swan pricing.
Yeah.
Right. Have we reached the end of this?
We definitely are.
Cool. So Philip, where can people find you?
People can find me by default on LinkedIn and also on my growth marketing agency page, moyo.agency, and my consultancy practice, moyo.consulting.
Right. People can find me on LinkedIn. Definitely. There's a fearless pricing channel on LinkedIn and YouTube and TikTok as well. And that's going to expand soon. And Liftoff .pro, my old page is going into the retirement soon. And my new webpage is going to be fearless-pricing.com. People, thank you for listening in today, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.